So, what I am learning since I've been catching the bus, I hadn't caught the bus since I was 19 years old, which was 23 years ago. And my oldest daughter at the time, she was 1, and she is 24 now. And there's just this, to me, there was this stigma around catching a bus. To me, that just meant lack, and that meant poor. And I can say that as I've grown, and now that I am like humbled, I don't look at it in that way anymore. I will go deeper into that and why I felt that way at a later date, but in essence, I grew up poor, and my mom was on welfare all through my childhood up until I was 18 years old. And she did not have a vehicle. She did not know how to drive. She never had an interest in learning how to drive. And I just know that growing up, I just was irritated and felt like, why is she okay with not having? And we will always have to rely on public transportation. We will always be on the bus. We always caught cabs and relied on family members to give us rides. Mainly my grandmother. So I could not wait until I became an adult, and I said to myself that I would not be without a vehicle. So when I turned 19 years old, I had my first child at 18 and lived with my mom until I was 19, and I was kicked out of the house, and that forced me to get a vehicle. And since then, it's been this vicious cycle of getting vehicles, and new vehicles at that. So back then I did not have the knowledge that I have now, and thus why 23 years later I finally get it, and I'm breaking the cycle of lack and being broke and having a poor person's mentality, because I've always had car notes and not realizing, I realized, trying to get out of it, not knowing how to really get out of it without being panicked. So I will always jump into having these car notes, which caused me to ruin my credit in a way, so that I was always stuck in these high-ass car notes. So long story short, my car was repossessed last week. And I'm not panicked. Usually when something happens with my vehicle, I get panicked, and like when it breaks down, So basically, I'm just saying that you don't know what you don't know. And what I'm learning is that having a car note is just a big old scam, whatever. And it's just to keep you in debt and forever a borrower, a consumer. While it may be necessary to have a vehicle, it's not mandatory to have a new vehicle. And I was kind of conditioned in that way. My grandmother always had new vehicles. She leased hers though. My credit was never ever good enough to lease a vehicle. And now knowing what I know, now that I'm older, leasing vehicles isn't the smartest thing to do anyway. So you don't know what you don't know, and now that I'm older, I realize that I don't need to have a new vehicle because they depreciate pretty quickly once you drive off the lot with them. So, bottom line, I am without a vehicle for the first time in 20 years. And I'm actually okay. I know that I'm going to have to rely on some people, which is okay because I have some pretty reliable and dependable people in my life. But I am on the path to stopping the vicious cycle. Stay tuned. I'm back. What I have to remember to do is dress for the weather. Yes, I know that I'm in Michigan, but I absolutely abhor coats. I'm okay with jackets, but I think coats are just too big and bulky, and that totally goes against what I need when I live in Michigan, since I live in Michigan. So now that I am catching the bus and I'm at the bus stop, I need to, for real, wear a coat. I usually wear scarves. Scarves and glasses are my thing, but I don't have, well, I do have, but I just, don't often wear those scarves that are made for the elements. I usually wear like fashion scarves. So I'm at the bus stop and I realized that this fashion scarf is not going to get it, that I need to wear my wool scarves and gloves. So these are things that I kind of not really took for granted, but I had a car at one point, so I didn't have to necessarily wear a wool scarf and all that kind of stuff because I was not spending long periods of time outside. So I'm just documenting and chronicling the journey. So it is a week today that I've been without a car, and I'm actually okay. I have been catching the bus most mornings and getting a ride back in the evening. I have a great support system, so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, all this time I had this not fear, but image of what I thought riding the bus would be. Now, granted, the snow has not hit in Michigan yet, so I will do an update when that happens, but all is good for now.